What if I told you that one of the biggest mistakes home sellers make is trying to get the absolute highest possible price for their house? I know it sounds completely backwards, but that traditional advice to price your home high and leave room to negotiate is exactly why so many properties just sit on the market for months, only to sell for way less than they could have. That approach is a relic from a different time. Before every buyer had a supercomputer in their pocket with instant access to every comparable sale in your neighborhood. These days, pricing your home isn't just about picking a number. It's about launching a product, okay? And the best product launches don't start with a high price. They start with an irresistible one. That's right, an irresistible one. So, what if there was a way to flip this whole dynamic on its head? A counterintuitive strategy where instead of you chasing buyers, you have buyers chasing you. A method designed to create a frenzy of activity with the goal of triggering a bidding war and putting you in control within the first 72 hours. Now, this isn't about luck. It's about psychology. It's about understanding that while you set the list price, you don't ultimately choose the price your house sells for. The market determines the feasible price range. Your only job is to create the most competitive environment possible to let the market work its magic. In this video, okay guys, in this video, I'm going to break down the pricing philosophy that many top producing real estate agents use to get those incredible first weekend results. It's a strategy that feels a little risky and looks a little weird, but when it's done right, it can lead to a faster sale and better terms and a final price that often blows a safe pricing strategy out of the water. And that's the goal, right? We want to blow it out of the water. So before we get to the solution, let's talk about the problem. Why does that old school wisdom of price high and negotiate down often backfire in today's market? It really boils down to a few critical mistakes in thinking. So first and foremost, this is the biggest one. Sellers often price their homes based on emotion or what they need, not on data. You're thinking about the money that you put into that new kitchen, the memories you've made, or the amount you need for your next dream home. And those feelings are absolutely valid, but they're completely irrelevant to a buyer. A buyer figures out value by doing one thing, and that's comparing their home to other homes for sale right now. When you price based on your personal needs, you're not playing in the real market. You're on your own fantasy island, and buyers just are not going to make the trip there. The second huge flaw is not understanding how today's buyers actually look for homes. The vast majority of buyers start their search online. In fact, some recent NAR reports show that nearly every buyer uses the internet in their search process. They use price filters to decide what they even see. So let's say a buyer's max budget is $500,000. They're going to set their search filter to under $500,000. If you are thinking your home is something special and you list it at $505,000, you are literally invisible to that buyer. By pricing just a little bit above those key psychological price points, you now shrink your audience before you've even had a single person walk through the door. And this leads to the third and most dangerous trap, losing your initial momentum. The first week or so that your home is on the market is your golden window. This is when your new listing is new, it's fresh and exciting. It's when agent alerts blast it out to every qualified buyer in the area and interest is at its absolute peak. If you price it too high during this critical time, you waste it. Serious buyers who know the market values will immediately write your property off as overpriced and just move on. And now your listing sits, the buzz dies down, showings slow to a crawl, and days on the market start to add up, and a stigma starts to form. Buyers begin to wonder, what's wrong with this house? Why has it been on the market for so long? This is the kiss of death in real estate. It puts you in a weak position and forces you to do the one thing you are trying to avoid: cut the price. So if pricing high is the problem, then what's the solution? Well, it's a strategic philosophy that feels like a gamble, but is actually a calculated move to create an auction like atmosphere. Some call it the 3% pricing philosophy. Now, let me be clear. This is not about just underpricing your house or giving it away. This is strategic competitive positioning. The idea is simple. In a market with strong buyer demand, instead of listing your home at its perceived fair market value or slightly above it, you price it strategically maybe 1 to 3% below the most recent relevant comparable sales. The goal here is not to sell for that lower price. The list price isn't the sales price. It's a marketing tool. The whole point of this strategy is to make your home the single most compelling deal on the market for one weekend. You want every single qualified buyer in that price range to see your listing and think the exact same thing. Wow, that's a great deal. We have to go see it now. This strategy works by tapping into some powerful principles of buyer psychology. So, first, it creates a massive sense of scarcity and urgency. When a home is seen as a fantastic deal, buyers know they aren't the only ones who see it. They get that if they don't act fast, they'll lose out. This is the fear of missing out, or FOMO, and it's a powerful motivator. Instead of buyers casually scheduling a showing for next week, they're scrambling to get in the door on day one. Second, it's all about social proof. A quiet open house with 1 or 2 visitors sends a signal that something might be off. But an open house that's packed with cars lining the street and people waiting to get in, that sends a very different signal. It tells every buyer that there is this property and it's an incredibly desirable one. This social proof validates their own interest and makes them want the home even more. It turns a simple tour into a competitive event. And then third, this whole environment can trigger what's known as an auction fever. When buyers see other people making offers, their mindset shifts from how low can I get this for to how do I win this house. Rational financial planning can take a back seat to the emotional thrill of beating the competition. And this is how bidding wars are born. Buyers might have hesitated to offer the asking price, are now willingly bidding thousands, sometimes tens of thousands above it, just to get the home. The entire point of this philosophy is to shift the power dynamic. In a traditional sale, the buyer has a lot of power. They can negotiate down, make demands, and take their time. When you create a multiple offer situation, then the power now shifts completely to you, the seller. You're no longer just negotiating on price. You can often get better terms like waiving contingencies or getting a flexible closing date. You aren't just selling your house. You are creating an event that makes buyers compete for the privilege of owning it. Okay, so let's talk about myth number one. Myth number one is, but if I price it lower, I'll get less money. This is, without a doubt, the biggest mental hurdle for sellers. It feels totally illogical. If the home is worth $500,000, why would I list it at $485,000? Aren't I just leaving $15K on the table? I get it. But the answer is a resounding no. And this is where you have to stop thinking like a seller and start thinking like a marketer. This list price is not your target sale price. It's the bait. The goal isn't to get one buyer to pay your price. It's to get many buyers to fight over it. So let's go back to our example. The market suggests your home is worth about $500,000. The traditional approach is to list it at $515,000 to leave room for negotiation. What happens? You attract a small pool of buyers looking in the $500K plus range. Maybe one makes an offer at $495, you counter at $505, and they come up to $500 and you accept it. You got your price, but it took 45 days and a lot of stress. Now, let's try the competitive philosophy in a strong market. You list at $485. What happens now? You instantly attract the buyers pool from $500K down, plus a huge new pool of buyers who were capped at $485 search. Instead of 5 buyers seeing your home, 50 now see it. Instead of 2 showings the first weekend, you get 30 showings. All that traffic creates a palpable buzz. By Monday, you now have 5 offers, one at $485 and another at $490, and a few more even higher. Now your agent goes back to all 5 parties and asks for their highest and best offer by 5 p.m. Fueled by the competition and fear of losing out, the buyers sharpened their pencils, and the final offer would come in at around 505 or 508, and one at 512, 500 with no inspection or contingency. Which scenario would you rather have? A 45-day negotiation to get 500, or a 72-hour bidding war that might drop the price to 512,000 with better terms? While this isn't a guarantee, it's a repeatable strategy that puts the odds in your favor when the market conditions are right. Okay, so myth number 2, we can always just lower that price later. Guys, this is the second most dangerous phrase in real estate. Sellers who want to test the market with a high price almost always end up paying for it. Think of your listing like a blockbuster movie premiere. All the hype is focused on opening weekend. That's when you have the most leverage. Now, if you price too high and that opening weekend is a dud, you can't get that magic back. When a home just sits, it gets stale. A price reduction a few weeks later doesn't create a fresh wave of excitement. It sends a signal of weakness. Buyers see a price drop and think one of two things. Something must be wrong with the house, or the seller is getting desperate. Let's see how much lower they'll go. See, you've gone from a position of strength to a position of defense. Instead of buyers trying to win you over, you're now trying to win them back. Data consistently shows that overpriced homes that require price cuts tend to take longer to sell and can ultimately sell for less than if they were priced correctly from day one. Chasing the market down is a losing game. The key is to price it right the first time to capture the attention of serious buyers and sell faster. All right, you guys, so let's do a hypothetical case study here. To see this in action, let's paint a picture. Imagine two identical homes in the same neighborhood. Based on a thorough market analysis, the true value for both homes is right around $750,000 in a balanced market. Seller A is the traditionalist. He's emotionally attached and believes his home is the best on the block. He insists on testing the market and lists his home for $775,000, leaving room to negotiate. Week 1, a few showings, but the feedback is the same. Nice house, but a bit overpriced. No offers. Week 3, showings have slowed to a trickle. His agent is begging for a price reduction. Week 4, he reluctantly drops the price to $749,900. Some activity returns, but buyers are skeptical now that the house has been on the market for a month. We're now in week 6. He gets a lowball offer. After a stressful back and forth negotiation, they settle at $730,000. It took over 60 days and he sold for $20,000 below market value. Now, seller B is the strategist. She understands the competitive philosophy. She wants to create an event. So she prices her home 3% below market value, listing it at an irresistible $729,900. She also makes sure the home is professionally staged and marketed everywhere on the line. Day 1, Thursday, the listing goes live. Her agent's phone starts ringing off the hook. She books 40 showings for the weekend. Day 2 through 3, the weekend. The open house is a madhouse. Buyers see the competition, and their agents tell them they need to come in strong. Day 4, Monday, she has 8 offers in hand. The bidding goes back and forth all day. The result? In this illustrative scenario, she sells her home for $790,000, a full $40,000 above its market value in just 72 hours, with a cash offer that waives the appraisal contingency. Seller A aimed for the highest price and ended up with less. Seller B aimed for the most interest and is this ideal situation, ended up with more. That is the power of this strategy. And it's not just about the price. Seller B's success was boosted by impeccable staging and aggressive marketing. The price created the urgency, but the presentation and promotion delivered the knockout punch. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great, but how do I know what 3% below market value even is for my home? That's the million-dollar question. And you can't just use a generic online estimator. Those are notoriously inaccurate. This strategy requires a precise, data-driven analysis of your specific local market done by somebody like me, a professional. So if you're curious what this strategy could look like for your property and you want to understand its true market value, I invite you to click the link below. I'm offering a complimentary, no obligation pricing strategy session where we can dig into the numbers for your specific home and map out a plan to create our own market event. The biggest thing I want you to take away is this. The goal of listing your home isn't just to put it on the market. The goal is to launch it, is to make your home the star of the show for one incredible weekend, attract the maximum number of qualified buyers, and create an environment where competition does the work for you. In the right market, pricing your home a few percent below its perceived value isn't about getting less. It's one of the most powerful strategies for ultimately getting more. It takes courage, it takes a solid plan, and it takes trusting the process. But the potential results, a faster sale, better terms, and a higher price, it's going to speak for themselves. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more insight on real estate strategies, and share it with someone you know who is thinking about selling. Thanks for watching.